Weapon technology shaped the course of human history. Some of the most awesome designs are hundreds, even thousands of years old. But now, the most deadly weapons of all time are getting a makeover as modern technology puts a new spin on the ancient past. Chad Hauschnick leads the way.
I want one. No, I want two.
One part master engineer.
I think I can do that.
And 2 parts mad scientist. He'll get a helping hand from Mike Lowe's, a man who knows a thing or two about history.
This is the world's first flamethrower. Wow.
And what gives these weapons their edge. This week, Chad and Mike venture to China to uncover the machine gun's ancestor, the repeating crossbow. It'll take all of Chad's twisted skills to make this bamboo peasant's weapon reliable, accurate, deadly.
What is that? That's not in the script.
Have you never seen one before?
No.
It's called the chukunu.
The choke your nose?
Chukunu.
Chukuno.
The Chinese repeating crossbow.
Repeating
Yeah.
crossbow?
That's a magazine, holds 10 bolts, and just with this lever action, you've got very good rapid fire. It's an amazing thing. Some people think it was invented as early as 350 BC, and it was used as late as this scene we've just been doing, the Boxer Rebellion.
You know, I wondered what that was. I mean, I was having fun enjoying it, but it didn't really make any sense
You didn't
to
know
me.
what we were doing. Yeah.
The Boxer Rebellion?
Boxer Rebellion. The Boxers were so called because of all their kung fu moves. They wanted China to be Chinese and traditional, and there were so many Western powers, America and all the European powers were in Peking. They slaughtered 235 Westerners in Peking in June 1900.
That's it. This is incredibly simple. I mean, anybody could have made this, it looks like.
The Chukunu's simplicity is exactly what kept it in use for so long. Look, it consists of a bamboo bow mounted on a wooden stock, and attached to this is a magazine operated by a lever. When the lever is pulled back, it catches the string in a notch at the base of the magazine, and so bringing it back to full draw. Then at the end of its cycle, the magazine is forced against the stock, activating a wooden peg, which then releases the string, and the arrow flies.
That's a pretty good rate of fire. Uh-oh. Ow. It's not the smoothest operating mechanism, is it?
It does jam, and that is one of your things that you've got to solve. I want you to build a much more powerful one that never jams, and one that's and one that's a bit more accurate. Because you may notice even at 2 feet from that tree, it's a little bit of a scatter effect because there's no fletchings to stabilize.
Yeah, I mean, it's all over the place, and they're just...
That's right. So you got that?
Much more power. Check.
And it mustn't jam.
Mustn't jam. Much more power, mustn't jam. Much more power, mustn't jam.
More accurate.
More accurate. No jam, more power, more accurate.
Clearly, the repeating crossbow was ideally suited for the urban, guerrilla-style warfare of the Boxer Rebellion. Yeah! And it had a long history of being used in towns and villages. This was the peasant's weapon. It took no particular skill to use it, and the materials are inexpensive and available. Although the design is sophisticated, it was easy to build. It was known as the home protection weapon, and every peasant household owned one to protect themselves against marauding invaders. And those invaders were horse archers. Horses are big, soft targets, and so the relative inaccuracy of the repeating crossbow didn't matter. Massed volleys of arrows against mass hordes of horsemen. But imagine repeating crossbows on those ramparts. Imagine thousands of Chads, terrifying enough. But imagine thousands of Chads with repeating crossbows. Tens of thousands of bolts raining down on massed hordes of cavalry. Absolutely terrifying.
But how does the thing work? To find out, Chad and I are looking for Yang Fuxi, one of China's last traditional bowmakers. And he's somewhere here in the back streets of Beijing.
But first, I want to have a little fun. Assuming, of course, I don't kill myself.
There we go.
Follow that rickshaw.
Okay, you're in trouble.
You'll never make it.
Oh, I don't think so sure.
Mush! Mush!
Oh, you guys finally made it.
Yes.
Yes.
Your wonderful navigational skills through Beijing.
All right. So, are we anywhere near where we're supposed to be?
It's down one of these alleys. I think we should go on foot.
Yeah, it might be a little faster.
This is 100.
600.
And the boat.
Oh no! You killed me! You took my head off! I'm the loser. I've been vanquished. Now 200.
Okay.
But I gotta get more money from my boss.
Oh, we bought them now, have we?
I think so.
Yang Fuxi. He's one of the few traditional bow makers, and he's the 8th generation of a family. I think this is it, number 50.
Excellent.
I'm looking forward to meet the great man. You don't often hear me say, wow, but this is wonderful. That is a replica of a Han Dynasty crossbow. And look, here's a magazine for a repeating crossbow. You know, on some of them, they had 2 magazines. It was actually a double-barreled thing. There's your challenge. Can you do something that the Chinese haven't already thought of?
Impossible. Yeah, I mean, I'm outnumbered, what, 1.4 billion to 1?
And thousands of years of invention.
Excuse me?
Mr. Yang is coming.
Yang. 你好. 幸会, 幸会. From us.
I hope you like chocolates.
Yeah. Now, what we really need to do is look at how the repeating crossbow is made. You've got a diagram. You don't need any more. Just follow that.
That's an ancient Chinese secret.
There you go. Now, Chad started. This could take a while. But what he doesn't realise, I don't think, is these repeating crossbows are so low power that these little darts are not really going to do any real killing damage. What they did was they poisoned the tips. So I'm off to try and find an old apothecary to see if he knows the old secret recipe.
Mike's brought me here to Beijing to learn about the Chinese repeating crossbow from a traditional bowmaker, Yang Fuxi. The reason I'm here is because I really like to build things and I'm getting a little bored watching, so I'm ready to roll my sleeves up and get to work. Whew! Lots of pressure here with the master watching. Oh, I got the thumbs up! Hey! All right, so next bit here, if I'm not mistaken, we are cutting this groove, this channel in here. Fluting, I believe, would be the term of art. And I'm reasonably certain that that is where the arrow will sit. Next, we hollow out the center of the magazine, providing space for the arrows. Okay, now we are ready to glue this puppy together. Take these two pieces and whoop. Master Yang prepares his special extra stinky Chikonu glue.
While Chad and Yang carry on their build, I'm on a quest for a secret recipe. Tiger-killing poison. So that's it. Jigashima. That's the secret too. So he's making me tiger-killing poison, but he's not telling me what all the secret ingredients are. The important thing is, this is what made the repeating crossbow effective. All these tips were coated with this poison. And if it can kill a tiger, then it can kill a horse. And it can certainly kill a man. Which means it's not just a home protection weapon. It's a viable battlefield weapon that anyone can use. You don't need any training. They can get thousands in a peasant army shooting these things. But I think the trick for Chad is going to be putting power into the repeating crossbow so that he doesn't need the poison. If he gets enough power, then it will be a viable weapon in its own right.
After slathering the parts with glue and clamping them in place, we leave the magazine at peace to dry. All right, now for the moment of truth. Oh, wait, I got the tool. Oh, I got the tool. Just kidding. Okay, here we are. We've arrived at the moment of truth. Everything up to now made perfect sense to me, except for this. What I don't understand is how does the arrow drop, and what is this whole cocking business, and it's not clear to me. Aha! I get it. Okay, here's the whole trick. Here it is. Here's the whole shooting match. You see this little bit right there? What happens is that when this lowers down, hits the bottom right here, it lifts up, which releases the cock string, whoop, and sends that arrow flying. Pow! Actually, I guess it'd be more like kapow, because it wasn't a particularly high-powered weapon. Try, old man.
Isn't that amazing? Come on, youngster.
Compliment and a jab.
all at the same time. I know. Look at this. It's fantastic.
You know,
Ancient splendor. I love it.
when you look at it from here, it seems like it's as much of a postal system, logistics device as it is a defensive device.
I think you're right. It's a troop highway.
Yeah,
Because this is the Chinese border. And they need to move their troops along the border, and this is not great terrain.
yeah, it would have been just as hard for you as it would have been for your enemy.
But once you've got them stationed up here on the wall, I mean, you can march 4 minutes. You see? Invaders.
We got him! The Mongol horde has arrived! Wait, you're not a Mongol.
I am.
You are?
Yeah. You can't see that?
It's a holiday in Mongolia. Sorry, thanks for playing along.
But that's the other thing of these places. That wall's not very high.
No, it really isn't.
Not every inch is got people on it.
No.
But that's what I think these places are for. They're like sluice gates along the wall.
Right.
So that if anybody gets onto the wall, then we can shoot at them from here. Because this is perfect. I can use a crossbow to range right along the wall.
Right. Wow, and that's really the challenge, to make a repeating crossbow worthy of this view. So I'm just off the boat from Beijing, where preparations for the Olympics are raging. I brought home this Chikono, a repeating crossbow whose arrows, though short, could be quite scathing. And as you can see, they are lacking in a little bit of punch. Of course, they didn't really need too much punch because they were typically coated with, tiger-killing poison. Now, you just can't get good tiger-killing poison anymore these days, so I went out on the internet and what I got was this tiger-killing crossbow. Compound crossbow. I figure the crossbow is the easy part of repeating crossbow. So I'm gonna use this as my platform and I'm gonna mount a magazine to it and figure out some mechanism for repeatedly, reliably, hurriedly, cycling it and boom, bang, done next, out of here. I hope. So here's what I think. Rather than pull on the bowstring directly, pull on the slider plate and use the slider plate to get the bowstring back and hooked over the trigger. The advantage of that is that once the bowstring is hooked over the trigger, the slider plate is then free to get sucked out of the way by bungee cord, surgical tubing, some type of spring. A slurp plate on top of all that will provide a guide rail for the slider plate to slide upon, as well as a surface to mount the magazine to. Now, I'm not that worried about the magazine. It's got some challenges, but I think we're going to get through those without too much trouble. The biggest challenge is going to be the whole sort of cranky back business. And that's where I'm going to start, because I want to get that knocked out of the way first.
Try this slick little piece of engineering out.
So this is the stock component that comes with this
design.
There we go. Well, that's pretty nifty.
Yeah.
That works.
But is that fast enough for our purposes?
No. Oof. I mean, it's nifty for what it's designed for, but I don't... All right, let's set this one aside for a minute. I want to see how much force that air cylinder can actually develop.
Maybe I could use an air cylinder to draw the bow back instead of my arms.
Okay, 240.
All right, so I'm pulling 225 pounds right now. All right, well that's more than enough. All right, so I've got pressure coming out of a big cylinder over there up to, whatever I set the regulator at, coming in this hose, and into the cylinder, I'm now going to send, whatever the regulator's set at. Basically, it's an on-off switch. Pressure on, pressure off, pressure on. Normally when you cock a crossbow, you do it with your arms. Well, that's my arm. So there's my arm, I'm gonna pull. Pretty straightforward.
One of the drawbacks of the Chinese repeating crossbow is the power of the actual bow. This lever gives you a power advantage, and you could pull something twice, 3 times that weight with that lever. The limitation is in the trigger mechanism. There's a peg that pushes the string out of the notch. In fact, a similar principle was used in the early European crossbows. They had what was known as a lifting peg. So if we think that's the string, and this lever pushes this peg up, thus releasing the string. Now the problem with that, and I need some help here, and Chad is busy, so Spencer, I'm going to borrow Spencer, give me your index finger, and loop that around there. Just take the strain lightly. Now with your other hand, just flip it off your finger. No problem at all. Now, loop it again. Now lean back with all your weight. He's quite heavy. Now knock it off. And he can't, because obviously it gets purchased and you can't release it. The solution was the rolling nut. This was the European solution. They had this cam-shaped nut, and a long, long lever, and that releases this nut that spins. If you look at that, it's an eccentrically shaped cam wheel with this notch, and it rolls away and you can let off much more pressure.
As in this 1,000-pound draw bow.
But there's a tremendous amount of power here, and so what they need is this very, very long trigger mechanism in order to operate them. And that in itself has consequences. It means the string can only come back barely halfway of the bow. The string travel is very short indeed, so you're losing a lot of that power, and the Chinese had the answer. This is a Chinese standard crossbow, and the string travel is double, nearly 3 times what it is on a European crossbow. Therefore, they did not need to use such a powerful bow to get exactly the same results.
It'll take all of Chad's creativity to top thousands of years of Chinese innovation.
I wonder how hard it is to de-string one of these. I'm morally certain it's a mistake to do it, but I don't know any other way to get in there. Oh, wait a second. It's not easy. These limbs, these bow limbs, are under a fantastic amount of tension. So I am building a system to temporarily hold the tension so that I can release the bowstring. Something up there's creaking. Where'd you get this bow? We're gonna need another one. Found the source of the creaking. The bow arms are in the process of splitting in two. So maybe the way to do it was to release the bolts. Hey, Tim.
Chad,
Morning.
making progress?
Yeah. I cracked the bow arms last night, the limbs.
How'd you do that?
Well, I had to de-string it. Looked at a couple pictures on the internet, etc., and there's this little hole here, which I believe is where you sort of insert a thingy and then, you know, turn it 90 degrees, and then you pull the two of them together with something resembling a turnbuckle. And
Yeah, there's a special tool for this that they say don't ever do it without that tool.
right, well, I did it without that tool.
Yeah. Why'd you have to take this off?
Well, because there was no way to machine the nose piece, which would
The
have been...
nose piece meaning
I call this the nose piece. So this is what the limbs are attached to.
You want to make an omelet, you gotta break some eggs. And I broke these eggs boring the mounting holes for these two guide rails. Observe.
Alrighty, I've mocked something up here real quick. Right here in the middle of the screen is my slider. These are the aforementioned guide rails, and the orange bit here is the bowstring. So when I say go, this slider right here is going to slide, translate, along those two guide rails, and when it contacts the bowstring, that angled nose piece is going to grab the bowstring and take it along with it. So I'm going to take this aluminum block and turn it into that shape over on the milling machine. Well, that's a little better. Certainly touching now. I've crossed the first hurdle. I've got my whole slider, air cylinder, piston, you know, pull the bowstring back, you know, ready to go. But now I've got to get an arrow in there, you know, ready to be launched out of the crossbow. And, you know, I got to thinking that, you know what, I'm not reinventing the wheel here, you know. They've already figured out how to repeatedly, reliably, and above all, rapidly load the next round into the chamber ready to go. And it looks an awful lot like this.
Chad, this is Andre. He's with Northern Virginia Tactical.
Andre? Oh, thank you.
to meet you, Chad.
It's nice to meet you too. I wish, I wish more people. You know, that's the way you really ought to greet somebody. You know, just remember, an armed society is a
polite society.
And remember who's got the guns. Just this is a few of your personal favorites from your private collection, or?
Well, these are some guns that we use for training at Northern Virginia Tactical.
Okay.
These are H&K 416.
All right.
They are fully automatic carbines. The rate of fire on this is about 800 rounds per minute, Chad.
800 rounds per minute.
You think your crossbow can do that?
Well, if I had 800 crossbows, yes.
Why don't we shoot some guns?
Yes, please.
All right.
Whatever you do in life, you want to bring, you know, something personal to it. You've got to, you've got to lend that, you know, that je ne sais quoi. Is that working for you, Tim?
That is working for me. There's a certain appeal.
I bet this hat's going to survive the day. We're going to see how they do. You boys ready?
When we're shooting the guns, you keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to shoot. And you never point the muzzle at anything that you're not willing to put a hole in.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Clear.
Does that make sense?
Clear as an unmuddied lake.
Very nice. Ready to shoot?
Yes, please.
All right. Good. Slide that in and then smack it in hard to make sure it's fully seated. Smack. Yep. Grab the charging handle, pull it fully to the rear, and release it.
All right. Fire in a hole, rounds down range. I'm I'm not.
Why don't you switch it to full auto there, Chad?
All right, and that's right over here.
Right there.
Yeah. Okay, I like that.
There you go. Give that
And
a
then it
shot.
just goes. Nice. Now you
A little
want to
bit
get
of forward lean.
Right.
In fact, we can pull one apart.
Oh, okay.
There's your whole magazine right here, Chad.
Look at that kind of scissor spring.
Basically, you have a magazine tube, which is just a metal tube. You have a magazine to keep tension on it. This piece right here, this is called the follower, and this is what actually pushes the ammunition up through the magazine.
And you just kind of push down and slip that one in. And
That's
then
it.
you push down, you slip that one in, and that's it. This is the same thing we were talking about. You know, they're not one on top of the other. They're staggered. They're stair step.
If they're staggered like that, how does it feed into the chamber into one slot?
Open up the gun and I'll show you. With the magazine in place, the bolt slides forward, stripping off the topmost cartridge and pushing it into the chamber, ready to be fired. When the cartridge is fired, the powder burns, releasing a volume of gas, most of which travels out the muzzle behind the projectile. But a small portion is diverted through a small tube, which resets the bolt and places another round in the chamber. This is basically the top of the trigger right here.
Okay.
Okay. This is the hammer right here.
Right.
And in the semi-auto, the top of the trigger is what catches the hammer, which is right here. And if I pull the trigger, the hammer moves forward and fires the gun. Nice. Very simple. When I flip this switch into the full auto mode, when you watch the sear right here, you'll see that the angle changes slightly. And you can see that that's, now what's going to happen is, when I pull the trigger, the sear is what catches the hammer. And the action of the bolt moving forward is what will fire the gun.
This is a pneumatic actuator. Gonna have a paintball bottle, compressed gas,
And CO2?
push some type of trigger valve mechanism. When the cycle is about to begin, we'll have something like this. Ready? And shh. Let's say one has just been fired.
Okay.
Right? Then the next one ready to go falls into place. And the bowstring is what keeps it from double feeding.
So, at least in its current configuration, it's a semi-automatic crossbow. It's not a fully automatic crossbow. Right now, you have to pull the trigger every time you want it to fire.
Pull two triggers.
Well, that's a good question.
Could we make it a fully automatic?
I think I could.
That would be badass.
Red, white, and blue, full auto, repeating crossbow. Yes, sir. How high, sir? Okay. All right, let's do this.
We are on our way.
We are.
Making a badass weapon.
Good luck, guys.
I'm not sure where we're going, but we're definitely on our way there.
Now, just in case you hadn't noticed, I'm in a wind tunnel. And if you're anything like me, well, you're probably wondering why. I'll tell you, I've come here to Penn State University to learn how arrows fly.
Morning. Morning. You're Rick, I'm hoping?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Well, here it is. This is what I was telling you about on the phone. The Chinese repeating crossbow. I'll show you. All right, so firing a hole, rounds down range. So you just keep pulling this trigger, and they keep, but you see the obvious problem here is that I am, 6 feet away from that, and I can't hit anything. Which leads me right into the problem. I mean, the reason I'm here, I am hoping to learn, how arrows fly.
To start with, arrows don't fly. Arrows are projectiles.
What do you mean they don't fly?
Well, they don't have wings.
Oh, right.
They don't.
Okay.
There's no mechanism to cause
birds
it to fly.
Okay.
Correct. Birds fly. So an arrow is considered a projectile that has been shot out of a bow or a crossbow.
Something
or
else
something.
is doing the firing.
Right.
It doesn't have its own motive power.
Exactly.
All right. Okay.
And secondly,
Fair
the
enough.
Chinese had to remove the fletching in order to fit inside your crossbow.
Right. Okay.
In most arrows, you would improve the accuracy, you'd improve your precision of your shot by having fletching, like this one right here.
Okay.
All right? And if I balance that about its center of gravity, you can see that the center of gravity is in fact ahead of the center of the arrow.
Yeah, my eyeball says the middle's, right around here somewhere.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, now, let's just take this arrow in flight and let's imagine that it does not have fletching first.
No fletchings.
Okay? There's a little longer shaft behind that center of gravity than there is ahead of the center of gravity, correct?
Right, there's a little extra bit back here.
Little extra bit back here.
Okay.
If something were to cause this to disturb up slightly or down slightly,
Hits a twig, a breeze.
something like that.
Okay.
The forces, the aerodynamic forces acting down this shaft are greater in the rear than they are in the front, right? Because there's a little extra bit. Area back
All right,
here.
so this is equal to this. This goes up, that goes down, there you go. But there's a little extra
And that's
bit.
going to force it back up.
Okay.
Likewise, if it goes up, the same thing's happening. It's going to force it back down.
And that's why it needs to be heavier in the front, to make sure that we have that little extra bit in the back to do that. Got it. Check.
Okay, now, we have built a couple of different arrows for you.
That's neat. Twisty bits.
And we put a very highly helical fletching on this.
Highly helical fletching, sir.
We did that deliberately so we could get a measure of how fast can we possibly get an arrow to spin. Okay? Now, what this will do is if this spins fast enough, not only do we still have the stability generated by the fletching that we had before, if we can generate enough speed, we can generate a gyroscopic stability which would cause the arrow to not really want to move out of that straight level flight.
Gyroscopic stability.
Much like, say, when you're riding a bicycle, if you're not moving, the bicycle can fall over. But as long as it's moving, the tires are spinning, it's creating an inertial stability. That's the second advantage. So potentially, I could argue this might be the best possible arrow you could have.
So you're suggesting that I might want to figure out a way to provide the analog, something very similar to the rifling in, a pistol or a long gun in my crossbow. And that if I can get those arrows spinning, rotating fast enough, it is quite possible that I'll see a significant increase in accuracy.
That's right.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, this works. This works better, and potentially this is better still.
There's a real possibility of that.
But, Rick, I'm seeing a little problem here. It doesn't fit.
You'll have to solve the problem of how to get a fletching like this into something like that.
All right, lots of ideas for the arrows, all of which are useless if the crossbow doesn't work. So it's back to the shop. It's time to get cracking. The replacement bow has arrived, and it's time to bolt this puppy together.
Right.
Oh, man.
Now this.
Whoa! Steady! All right, bring her in. The air cylinder assembly. Okay, let's move the air cylinder attachment plate back towards the rear. Gonna need a little, yep, all right, bring her in. Steady. There she blows. Our pneumatic switch.
Air one way, air another way.
Yeah. We've got this big bottle of nitrogen over here.
Come on back.
Number's now in place. It is not as tight to the bowstring as I would like it, but theoretically it keeps it from getting knocked up out of there. Arrow drops into place.
Bottle cap.
Fire in a hole.
Oh, look. Look at that.
Nice shot, Tim.
Look at that.
Well done. The rockin', chalkin', repeating.
So the next thing we gotta do is put the
arrow socking.
We gotta put the slur plate on.
Yes.
And then we're gonna put the magazine in. We have to do a couple little details to that and fasten it. And we'll see if we can shoot multiples.
Everything's fine. Now, let's say an arrow's just been fired, okay? So this arrow right here has been pushed by the bowstring. Boom, out. Now the arrow above it has already fallen down in the back, like this. The bowstring begins to come back, and watch what happens to the arrow. So.
Whoa. Stop.
Okay, we have just established the first design flaw.
We got another huge problem.
Here's the problem. At the beginning of the cycle, when the bowstring is all the way forward, it holds the front of this arrow up and out of alignment with the groove in the slider. Duh! And the whole thing just jams as the parts collide together.
Oh, they're still rolling.
Great.
We've hit a brick wall, and Mike will be here in less than 18 hours, and we've got nothing.
See? You can't go back.
Yeah, I won't be able to sleep until I understand this problem. This is horrible as far as I can tell. You think it's easy?
No. Our chances of success clearly at risk. Tim and I pull an all-nighter in a last-ditch effort to save our egos. Tim and I went back to the drawing board. We had to come up with an entirely new plan of attack.
There we go. 12 inches of pure crossbow fury.
So the slider had to go. It was its time was over before it was even born. So we decided that we were going to pull the bowstring back with some hooks. 2 hooks, one on either side, still using the pneumatic linear actuators. Okay? And these are our hooks right there. So now, instead of moving a slider back and forth, we are moving 2 hooks back and forth. And they grab the bowstring, and guess what? It actually works. Now all we have to do is see what happens when we put some arrows in it.
Good, that seems to work. So what I'm doing is setting up a course to test Chad's crossbow. I want to test its accuracy and its reliability. And I'm thinking 19th century Peking, street fighting house to house, 19th century America, street fighting in a Wild West shootout. So we've set this course, we're pretty much ready. I'm going to see if he is.
Okay, that's probably clean enough. All right, drop that funny-looking apple. Okay, little to my right, your head. Jeez, scared me. Oh my goodness.
Hey!
Hey, Mike.
How are you?
Wow.
Now, I can't help but think that this rugged-looking beast in a blue shirt is a bit of a doppelganger.
You've seen the Hathaway commercials. We're getting there.
It needs more hair. I have hair.
You do have hair. It was all they had at the beauty shop.
Yeah.
So.
But he is rugged.
Yeah.
This is rugged too.
We've got something to show you.
I'm thinking. I mean, the Chikonu was a supporting weapon, was it not? I mean, it was primarily stationary, guarding a hallway, a door, a gateway.
Well, it's kind of a sniping weapon as well out in the streets in the Boxer Rebellion. You've got to move around and come around.
But I mean, it was a heavy fire weapon.
It's little.
It is little. No, that's true.
That one's little.
That one's little.
Oh, that's
you
big.
wanted bigger, better, badder.
Yeah, okay,
It comes at a cost.
I have to say, this is the best looking thing you've ever made.
It is the one that I
There is not a sign of gaffer tape anywhere.
Most proud of it.
It's a slick bit of engineering.
Actually,
does it work?
It does. At least
Just push the button. Show me.
it did 5 minutes ago. Mr. Makepeace, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do the honors.
You've basically got a compound bow with
And
pulleys on
these-
there, so
yeah.
that's a stronger, more bang for your buck on the bow.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's an off-the-shelf. Okay, clear, rounds down range. Basically now.
Oh, it does party tricks.
That's what's supposed to
That's
happen.
good. It's a Christmas crossbow. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's another way of saying it's pretty, but it doesn't quite work yet.
Well,
Big Pile of Rocks manufacturing prototype arms division. So it's a prototype.
It is
We have
definitely
to
a
bear that in
prototype.
mind, don't we?
all right.
That
Okay.
Let's go with that. Okay. Gonna hit the air trigger here, and these linear pneumatic actuators are gonna pull the string
Good.
back.
Go forward.
Okay. Now I send them out of the way.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Rounds down range. Are we still aimed? And
Oh, excellent. You need to
Oh,
repeat
it's
your
dripping
pomegranate.
blood.
I need a repeating pomegranate. Well, I'm about to repeat the pomegranate. Let's go 2 for 2. You ready?
2 for 2.
Okay. All right. So there's some issues. So there's a little bit of hard fitting yet to do.
Forward.
Okay, clear. Oh man, this is all my toolbox is.
Very good. Now,
Sorry to say,
okay,
Mike.
okay. So that's good. You didn't get me.
Yeah.
Well,
I wasn't trying to.
Clearly, you have more power.
Clearly I have some
That-
cleaning to
that
do.
is
Oh
gonna be
yeah,
more powerful.
absolutely.
It's slow, isn't it?
Right now I'm running these cylinders at about 110 psi,
So
and they're
you can-
rated to 250.
You can adjust that speed.
I can just about double it.
Well, I think it'll need to even begin to compete with that. It's obviously got a lot of potential. It's going to be more powerful, but by being more powerful, you'll have more range, which is your brief.
Yes.
What concerns me is there are no flights.
Oh, but there are.
Right,
tell. Hold that thought, sir.
I'm holding it. Clearly, the problem with that is it has no stabilizers and it's inaccurate. It goes all over the place. So with more power, you will need
internal fletchings.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Have you tested it?
No.
Well, you need to get going because we have probably got, you have got, it's getting late now, less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
And the time for talking is done. I need to see
Well
this
beyond.
thing work. It's got to have more power. I think you've probably got that. But it's got to have accuracy, so they better work.
Yeah.
It mustn't jam, so all this push-pull thing had better work.
There's some tightening up to do.
And it needs to be rapid shooting. And there are some tests that are going to test you. I will see you.
It's good to see you, Mike.
On the test.
I appreciate the visit, the checkup, and I'm within spitting distance now.
He'll be driving 2 black horses when he comes. He'll be driving 2 black horses. He'll be driving 2 black horses. We'll be eating horse hamburger for dinner when he comes. Ha! Ha! Tucked away. Did you check the scope, Tim? All scoped in. Oh my word. Ha!
Good morning, gentlemen.
Why, is that a pair of 2 brown horses I see before me? I thought we were shooting at buggies and targets, not horses.
Yeah, well, you could have dressed.
I coulda.
Is it ready?
Ready as it'll ever be.
Are you ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Follow me. I have a course for you.
You got a test for us?
Yeah. Get up, boys.
You name the place and I'll choose the time.
So we have old technology versus Chad technology. And for the first test, I want to test your repeatability.
Okay.
You usually can repeat yourself very quickly, but remember how fast this is. Remember how good this is.
It is quick.
And I've borrowed Tim, which I hope you don't mind.
I wonder where he went.
And he is going to send a moving target. And I want to see how many of these you can drop into it. Are you set?
One moment, sir.
Okay, he's getting ready. Okay, Tim. Roll! Here he comes. Little dot on there. 1.
I'm just waiting for him. I got all the time in the world.
Oh, here we go. Back, red light on there. Good shot. Here's the other one. You're on it. Yeah.
This one.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you. And here she comes.
Come.
Whoa!
A little bit of a miss on the last one, but you got 4 off. That's not bad. Let's have a look.
Let's have a look.
Look, see, you got this target, but look at this one. Come over here.
Oh!
Not only are you nearly in the bullseye, but you have cut the rope. Wow. That is good. I am seriously impressed, because when I saw that in the workshop the other day, then I thought, this is not going to have any speed. Not as fast as this.
No, it's not as fast.
But it's pretty good and it's accurate, but we're going to test that accuracy because I have more challenges.
Okay.
Really, the accuracy and reliability.
That was actually the first time I really got to sight in the scope, so...
Yeah, it's working, but see how you cope with this.
All right.
Come with me.
It's quite a hike.
All right.
Gentlemen, you're here.
All right,
Mike.
Mike, what do you got for me?
So, you remember when we were in Beijing?
I do.
We got caught up in that whole Boxer Rebellion thing.
Nasty bit.
19th century Peking. Street fighting, house to house.
Good peppers, though.
Here they were. Here we are, 19th century, Wild West. Gang of desperados have overtaken the town. I need you to take them out. Tim, have a grandstand view. Chad, 3 paces back. Load your machine. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Go. Look out for surprises. Good start. Beware. Good man, yeah. You're doing good. Good shot. Yeah, he got me. But even though you were wounded and on the ground, you could load that and shoot. Fantastic. You got him. You got all of them. That was a good job.
Sterling job.
Thank you. It's certainly not the lightest thing I ever built.
No, and It's not over.
What?
There's more!
No!
So you've shown us that it's not bad on speed, you've shown us it's really good on accuracy.
Yeah.
I want to see the power of this thing.
No, it's got some power. It's beating me up.
Okay, then come over here.
One more, let's do it.
500 paces backwards.
500.
No, well, a fair bit back. 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. You're in right place. That is 50 yards. And I want you to hit it, and I want you to hit it with some smack. Big target, hit it.
I mean, I'll hit it, but I don't know if you'll see it.
Oh, I think we'll see it.
If Chad hits that target, I'm going to trigger a little surprise for him.
A little high.
Fire in the hole.
Clear there.
Now standing in.
He might want to hold his bow, he might want to dance. Let's go see this thing. Let's go see this thing. But I have to say, this is the best machine you have built. It's elegantly designed.
Thank you.
Probably Tim.
I had a lot of help.
Precision engineering, doubtless you.
Probably
the fire
me.
brigade has started already. We're getting wet, but that's okay. It really is brilliant. Job well done. Mission accomplished.
Thank you so much. I just got one question, Mike. I mean, after this, what could possibly be next?